Alright YouTube, so we got a bit of a news update for Final Fantasy VII Remake. This time it's not an April Fool's joke that I didn't catch on to. This is more so about the future of the game, their plans for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the fact that they want it to be better than the original. As always, my dudes, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, but the short-term goal, of course, is 8,000, so subscribe if you're new. So Square Enix wanting to exceed the original Final Fantasy VII with the remake is both bold and ambitious, but I'm not entirely against it. If they can somehow make me like the remake more than the original Final Fantasy VII, I'm all for that. And that isn't to say that it's like an impossible task or something. Final Fantasy VII is far from a perfect game, but it is one of the most popular games ever, one of the most beloved games, so for them to try to make it better than the original, it'll be interesting to see. A Final Fantasy VII Remake is in the works, and since the first announcement of the remake last year, more and more has gradually been revealed about what fans can expect from the PlayStation 4 exclusive. Up to this point, fans didn't know much about the highly anticipated remake, but a posting has suggested that the Final Fantasy VII Remake aims to exceed the original instead of just being another remaster. Really quickly, just to make things kind of clear, it was never going to be just another remaster. It's not a remaster. It's not called Final Fantasy VII Remaster. It's a remake from the ground up, so it was always going to be different from the original. In a posting for a new job opportunity, Square Enix has revealed that it is aiming at a new creation of Final Fantasy VII that isn't just a simple remake, but that a full-scale development team is being used to create a game that exceeds the original Final Fantasy VII. According to the posting, creating a remake that is better than the original is, in a sense, more challenging than creating new games, and it's a job that has an impact on the world as well as one's growth as a creator. This job will involve creating a new worldview while protecting concepts familiar to the players, and that is no easy task. We've known for quite a while now that the remake was going to be different in some ways than the original, with maybe a little bit of different story elements, character elements, more character time for characters that didn't get a whole lot of screen time in the original game. Stuff like that. We knew it was going to be different from the original, but they never outright said that they're trying to make it better than the original. I think that's kind of interesting. That being said, a new job opportunity has recently been posted by Square Enix and reveals that Square Enix is looking for a battle planner for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. A battle planner will typically work on a battle system that combines commands and action. The battle planner needs to design enemies and bosses, as well as planning the environment according to the player's growth. This reveals that indeed this is not simply a remake, but that new action elements will be added to traditional strategy in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, we've known for a long time that the battle system was going to be different from the original. It just kind of makes sense. There's some turn-based games that hold up these days, but generally speaking, it's just not the way RPGs are made anymore. But the fact that they're just now looking for a battle planner kind of worries me, because that sounds like, again, that we've heard from recent stuff, that they're kind of far behind on development, or they stopped development at some point, or whatever the case. I mean, they announced this game almost 3 years ago, and they're just now looking for somebody to plan battles and bosses and boss fights. What is this? Final Fantasy VII is arguably still one of the most liked Final Fantasy games in the series, so it would be great to see the elements of the original Final Fantasy VII intact in the FF7 Remake. It is still good to see, though, that Square Enix is trying to make the game even better than the original, but whether they will succeed in keeping the nostalgia from the original Final Fantasy VII in the remake is yet to be seen. Okay, so realistically, the remake is going to be better than the original. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Technology's way better than it was, 20 years ago. It's kind of how, like, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best Grand Theft Auto ever made on paper, but you still have people who think that San Andreas is the best ever. It all kind of depends on how they blend the nostalgia and things from the original game with the newer elements of the remake, whatever they're planning on changing with the remake. And that's really the biggest factor here with the remake, is what are they going to change from the original game? Because, like, for instance, we just seen that scorpion, like, robot fight from the beginning of the original Final Fantasy VII. If, say, we did not have that boss fight at the beginning of the remake, people would probably be upset because that's so nostalgic. That's the first boss you fight every time you start up the game. Obviously, there are more important things from the original game, but that's just an example. Like, what are they going to change that is nostalgic to people who played the original game? I'm all for change. I've always said this. Even if they did a shot-for-shot remake of the original Final Fantasy VII, I would be fine with that. I'd play it, I'd enjoy it. But I'm kind of interested in new stuff. I mean, I've played through the original game so many damn times that I would like to see some change. And I'm just curious what it is they are going to be changing up with the remake. And we don't know. We know so very little about this game. It's just up in the air. You can't possibly guess what it is they're going to change from the original game. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting article. The main takeaway is that they are looking for a battle planner. That's the actual update. But then there's also the fact that they want to exceed the original game. They want to make the remake better than the original. And I think that's a hell of a task for them to undertake. Again, I don't think it's impossible, but it'll be interesting to see if they'll be able to do it. As usual, let me know your thoughts below, guys, on this topic. What do you think about them looking for a battle planner? Do you think that they can actually make it better than the original? And if you guys went on to enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at TheDashingDavid. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a baby, or at least less like